So you've been on campus for a couple months now. What's your impression generally of just Kansas State?
We have a really enthusiastic set of people that both work here and went to school here. And as I'm out visiting with alumni, as I'm sort of traveling around town, people have a lot of pride in Kansas State University. And every university sort of says that. They all say, our alumni have such pride. But I really think here, people who are associated with K-State just feel real great about the school, their experiences here. And this is whether we're talking to an alumnus who went here in 1940 or somebody who graduated last year or people on campus now. So that's sort of the uniform, real positive impression that I've certainly had. Okay, so from Mississippi State to Kansas State, what was the big, huge transition for you? Well, it was 45 degrees this morning, and I can tell you in Starkville, Mississippi, it wasn't 45 degrees this morning. So my real transition has probably been it's a little larger school. Mississippi State's probably 17,500, 18,000 max on the number of students, and we just got a few more students here. But otherwise, there's actually a lot more similarities and differences. Mississippi State has got a vet school, very strong agricultural tradition. The large majority of the student body, about 80% there, all come from the state of Mississippi. So it's a land grant school. The students and faculty and staff really feel very, very similar between the two institutions. So while there's a few things that are different, actually, to be honest, a lot more is similar, and that's part of what made it feel like home so much right from the beginning.
You say that you come to a bigger school, so that means you get a bigger family here at K-State. They always say that's a big deal. But your family, it seems like you guys are all pretty knit and close, right?
Yep, we are. So I've got two sons. My first son oldest son is a freshman at Mississippi State. He's majoring in computer science, and my younger son is in ninth grade at Manhattan High. So we're enjoying living in the house, and somehow three of us can manage to find enough room in 10,000 square feet. So, now when my wife shouts at me about something, she truly is too far away for me to hear, and that works out great. But we had a friend of ours at Mississippi State. Our oldest son went to an event there, and it was a sort of welcome event. And I could tell he didn't have any clean laundry because he had a K-State shirt on. He wore it to a Mississippi State event. So my friends were giving me a little bit of hard time about my son not knowing where his real school spirit needs to be.
How is that house? I've always wondered about it. Is it nice?
It is. Very nice house. It's a little bit of a strange deal because parts of the house are sort of public. And there's people that'll be out working in the yard and stuff, and so you got to be a little careful. Let's just say how you're attired walking around the house. There's a big sidewalk walking right by that house with all the open windows. So that first morning, I was standing out there. Let's just say I had underwear on. I did, and I'm looking out there, and Noel says, "You realize everybody walking by the house could see that." Fortunately, there's nobody out there. They would have run away screaming. But so we're just you have to learn a little of things like that. So the other thing is we had some events over at the house, and so people had to come over and get things ready early in the morning. So in the morning you're dressed and you're having your first cup of coffee, and it's a little weird. You come downstairs and there's people all over the house. So, but it's a neat place. It had got the original oak hardwood floors that were first in the house, and we had those. Those are refinished and they were carpeted before. So it's got a lot of classic feel to it. The public areas we'll have art there that's all done by Kansas artists and things like that. So we think you ought to, if you're in the house, you ought to realize you're on Kansas State University. You don't want it to look like a locker room, but on the other hand, it should have purple and some of that kind of stuff. So we're going to have once we get sort of into the semester, we'll have some open house times where people can just come by and see the place. Because there's been a lot of folks who worked here. They said, "Man, I've worked here for 20 years, never been in that house. We need to fix that."
Awesome. Well, like you said there, you've made your image more accessible. Like the president is more accessible here because one thing we've noticed is you're really active in communication throughout not only your departments but also with students on Twitter. Laura's pretty excited that you messaged her about that. But what's something that you personally take into making sure that you're visible as the president of Kansas State University?
Well, the president, you're just it's a visible position, and people really care a lot about whomever is the president. So one of the things is what I don't want to have happen is people go, well, we're paying this guy all this money, and I never see him. I don't know what he's out there doing. And I may be out doing wonderful things for the university, but if nobody sort of knows, they're just unaware of what you're out there doing. So to be approachable, people, you have to let people know sort of what you're doing, both the sort of fun stuff as well as the work-related stuff. And so anybody who follows me on Twitter is going to, yesterday my wife and I, and my son were at the plaza, and there was a Brighton jewelry store there. And so my wife likes to wear that stuff, and so she goes, "Oh, let's go look." And I'm like, "Yeah, right, we're gonna go look." Yeah, look. So anyway, we bought some stuff. I'll just leave it at that. And then so I'm on my BlackBerry, and she goes, "Well, what are you doing?" I said, "Well, I'm just sending out a little Twitter note." And anyway, we had a little conversation there in the sidewalk about the appropriateness of what I sent out. She wasn't real thrilled about me talking about the cash register still working. But anyway, it's that kind of stuff. I think people need to see that, hey, you're just a regular person in many regards like anybody else, and your family does the same kind of things. But lets people know what the university's doing, what I'm doing. And it's been interesting. People on campus go, well, hey, how was your event in Dallas? And you go, how does anybody know about that? Well, because you were sending these updates about what was happening in Dallas. So I think it makes, hopefully, the presidency more accessible and people know what's going on, and shows both the lighter side as well as, maybe a little bit of the serious stuff that you wind up doing.
How many followers are you at now?
I'm still a little low there. I'm about 1,200 right now.
Oh, a little low. Come on now. I barely even have 100. Come on now.
Guess how many I have?
7.
8.
8. Well, okay. I'll be number 9. I'll take care of that later today. But and I'm adding now with school starting. I'm probably adding about 20 to 25 a day. So that's really ramping up there. So, but that's fun. I've really enjoyed it. And it's amazing the sort of messages that go back and forth.
Well, now you're in a new town and everything, so what's your favorite thing you found in Manhattan so far?
Oh, I love Aggieville.
So do I.
Love Aggieville, probably for a lot of the same reasons you all do. But this summer, my family was away, and we hired a new athletic director, John Curry, and John's family was back in Tennessee. So we'd work to about 8 o'clock, and we'd meet at Cocobolo's, have a couple cool drinks, I'll leave it at that, and a little bit of dinner, and get back to our apartments about 10 o'clock, and, did that several times. So I just love the atmosphere over there. It's very student-friendly, but if you look, there are a lot of faculty, a lot of staff members, and their families are over there. Now, probably not at the same time some of you all are there, but that's what I like. It's close enough to campus. You just go walk over there, and it's casual enough. I'll go in the summertime. I went in a T-shirt, K-State T-shirt, shorts, and tennis shoes, just like anybody else, and that was kind of neat.
There's always been talks about integrating Aggieville more with K-State. Do you have any thoughts on that?
I'm not sure exactly what that means from this perspective. Aggieville is part of K-State. If you talk to alumni, no matter how far you go back, for the most part, Aggieville is part of the traditions, and it's changed over time. If you talk to people maybe 30, 40 years ago, Aggieville was where you did all your shopping. I mean, not just somewhere to go and have fun, but there was, you go to the hardware store there, you get your books, you sort of did it all there. I think we're going to see that continue to evolve over time, and we'd certainly like to see some diversity of businesses there, and I think that's going to be critical as we move to the future. But Aggieville needs to be safe. It needs to be somewhere we can all go have fun, but it needs to be somewhere that we don't worry about, students getting into any kind of danger or anything like that. Considering the number of students we have, the number of people going to Aggieville, it's already a tremendously safe place, but we want 100%. We want people to be able to go there all school year and have no incidents, and that we're going to continue to work on that.
Now, you talked about John Curry as well. As you being new to this university, there's kind of this new wave of administration for this university. What's some things that you guys have talked about, like as a unit, that you want to set apart and be your 5 and 10-year goals for this university?
Yeah, we're still working on some of that. There's a couple initial things that we've talked a lot about. One, and John Curry's got several things he's talked about with athletics, but we want anybody coming to a K-State athletic event, whether that's women's volleyball or football or whatever, for it to be the best fan experience it can be. So we want, whether it's students or faculty, staff, alumni, whomever, we want people at the end of the day say, what's your perfect Saturday? It needs to be, I'm going to a K-State athletic event.